Okay, this video is about quartzite, and I'm going to start off with showing you some artifacts made of quartzite. Now, these are all from California. They were given to me by a friend of mine, just so I could have an idea of what they look like. They're all kind of, you know, a little bit on the thick side and irregular. Some of these edges are sharp and some are dull. These edges are pretty sharp. The tip's kind of dull, and of course it lost part of the base on this one here. But I'm going to go through and show you these pretty fast, just to give you an idea. And I'm going to put this out for scale. Well, I'll just show you some of the dimensions. They're all, like I said, on the kind of on the thick side. Okay, so let's see. Various types of quartzite. Some is fine grain, some is very coarse grain. Like this is coarse and this is fine. And you can kind of tell the difference also in the size and shape of the blades. You can't do very much with the really coarse quartzite. These edges feel kind of smooth. This edge right here feels sharp, but everything else is worn down. Very simple for the most part. Step fractures. Step fractures are pretty common on these. I don't know what they're called, what these types are called. There's some in here that look very similar to each other. So I guess these could be a certain type. I thought I had another one in here, but so they're kind of crude. Of course, they're using hammerstones and antler and, you know, organic materials to shape these. And I've seen guys spall out the quartzite with wood and very soft hammerstones just to get the flakes from the nodules, and then they refine them down with the hammerstones and antler and bone. Okay, and even though these are from California, they're similar to points in other parts of the country. This one's kind of got a double beveled on both sides. Side notch. Okay, and probably projectile points on most of these. These are kind of similar in proportion. To me, these look more like projectile points than small knives. This one too, projectile point. Now these that are heavier, it could have been larger to begin with. These look more like knives, but I won't speculate on that. It's hard to tell, and it's almost impossible to know if they were used as knives or projectile points, so I won't even speculate. And he sent me some spalls and some flakes to try and make some points out of. Earlier I was hammering on this to create a preform. I might complete this one for the video, but I got some other pieces too of the coarse grained stuff. It's all from the same area where he found the arrowheads. So I can probably make something out of this too. Some bigger pieces. I'm not sure how I'm going to spall that. I spalled some of this from a large nodule that he sent me. A little bit bigger than this one. But I don't have too much of it, so hopefully I'll be able to do a video without breaking these pieces, because quartzite is really easy to break because you're using so much force to try to, you know, remove flakes from it. I've napped some quartzite that's really easy by comparison. And when I was getting into this one is not that type. It's not easy. So I guess I'll just continue with this and see how it works. I'm not sure if I'll make a stemmed point or a triangular point, but I do need to make it more narrow. Probably a stemmed point. Now the trick with tough materials is just to know the limitations, and it's hard to explain exactly on some of this stuff what the limitations are, but there's seams and cracks inside the quartzite that are unpredictable, so you've kind of got to be flexible on your strategy. See, because I just blew off some of that corner of that stem there. And copper is very aggressive, and it does shatter more than, it shatters your workpiece more than natural materials. So I've got to be really gentle, especially with this quartzite. So basically, you know, you can prepare platforms, but it pretty much is dull enough as is without grinding or abrading. But I'm going to go ahead and abrade anyway. I'm going to try to do some major flake removals to thin this down early, and just kind of trim around the edges to shape it. I tried to send one across here. It wasn't too bad. I'm above center line, so I'm going to take off some width here just so I can get below center line, so just so the flakes will run better. Should have done that before I abraded it. And a lot of these quartzite points are beveled, so I think beveling is a good strategy for reduction at first also, not only for resharpening. See, it's got good bevels on both sides. And this side's pretty flat. I'm just going to leave it. That's part of the natural surface of the spall, or the original surface. The natural surface is this here, the surface that was exposed to the weather and to the elements. Okay. I guess I'll start from the tip and work down. It doesn't step fracture in exactly the same way as other material, but it does create steps in the same places. They just don't look the same. It's more of a crumbly effect instead of a step effect. And on this particular quartzite, it's working pretty well. I can hit it really hard and it doesn't seem to mind it. It's not shattering. It's actually flaking okay. But copper is really aggressive, and I'm afraid to dig in too deep because it might shatter the whole thing. Some of those flakes are pretty good as far as size. The bulb of percussion is right there. Okay, so as I shape it, I'm going to be thinning also. Well, that's a theory, anyway. Still got some bevel left, so I'm going to take advantage of that and try to send some more flakes into the middle. Probably should thin down the base first though. Hit the base while it's still thick in the middle, that way I don't snap it. Yeah, I've got to turn the edge. I was going to try to remove a flake by hitting below or hitting above center line, but it didn't work. So I'm going to lower this edge down, try to send some flakes through here. Now that was hit pretty hard and it worked pretty good. So, you know, if I can get several good flakes like that to do the basic shaping, that would be ideal. And I didn't have to abrade it that much to get it to work. But I'm probably gonna have to braid this here. I want to take a big old chunk out of here. Now normally when I work a turtleback, I try to come in from different angles, but since it's hard to run long flakes, like I could run a long flake from here into there on different material, since it's hard on this to run a long flake, I'm just going to come in straight from the side. And I've got enough width on here that I can hold it firm, so it won't turn too much in the hand. Of course, I don't really think about that while I'm trying to get rid of that turtleback. It just comes naturally after a while. That one just completely crushed. So I don't know if it'll do me any good if I hit again in the same spot or near it. Let's try and run a flake down like I was mentioning earlier. Let's see if that does work. No. I think the best thing to do at this point would just be narrowing it down a little bit more to get closer to that turtleback. Yeah, it looks like the base is pretty good. I just gotta try to thin down that blade. Alright, so I'm just going to hit it really hard and see. Yeah, even with the strength of copper, it might be that I'm fighting against the grain of the stone itself. It might have some layers in here that are resisting the travel of the flakes. Because it seems like I could take flakes off the base pretty well, but not off the sides like this. Okay, so if I wanted a knife or something, I would just stop here, because it wouldn't last very long as a knife if I got too narrow at this point, because it would be hard to resharpen without ending up with a drill right away. So I would stop here if I wanted a knife, but I'm going to go ahead and try to flake a little bit more, see if I can get into that turtle bag somehow. Might not be able to. Like I said, sometimes quartzite has layers in it that are aligned in certain ways. So, you know, basal flakes going this way might work, but flakes going the other way might not. Like it was, you know, fairly easy for me to run flakes off the base, and it's also got something to do with the dynamics of the, you know, the way the workpiece moves when you strike it. Like it'll roll easy when you strike the edge. You'll lose your angle easier than losing the angle on the base. But I think it's also got to do with some layers in here. Yeah. I would need one or two good hits to get in there and take that off without losing too much width. So for symmetry, I'm going to remove some here because this is concave pretty much on this side, like, so I can lose some on that and get closer to this turtle back so I can try to get in there. I'm going to go higher than I normally do on the platform to catch more material. And the angle was a little bit steeper, so I wasn't going into the stone as much as I was trying to go over the top of that turtle bag, so it worked out okay on that strike. You can see how high up I am. I lost copper there. Alright, so that tactic seemed to work. I'm going to try it again on this side, remove some, get closer to the turtle bag, get below center line. if I can. I might not be able to. Okay, so the tactic on this is just to get higher up on the platform, grab some more material than normal, and hit with an angle that's pretty steep to try to go over the top of that and not take too much off, not to be too aggressive, but hit very hard, of course. Not bad. Of course, I'm losing a lot of width. Okay, so I'm just going to dress this up a little bit and then call it good. I'm mainly going to just work on the symmetry and sharpen the edge. I don't think I'll do any pressure flaking at all on this point. Switch to a smaller flaker so I can get into those notches. I don't know if I got that on film, but I blew off that ear. I could say that you know you find these asymmetrical points on archaeological sites, but I'm going to go ahead and try to make the symmetry a little bit better. You see how easy it is to blow off a tip or an ear or a barb. I didn't mean to do that on the tip, even though it does make it easier to make it symmetrical. Okay, so that's good enough. It can be hafted. It's not that bad. Let's see. Compare it to one of these other points. The edges are jagged, but it's very sharp when it's like that. When it's just percussion flaked and left kind of jagged like that, it's pretty sharp. Tip's sharp. So that's the first one. Before the video cuts out on me, I'll just call it good for the first attempt. Let's see if I can make a more refined point for the next one. I didn't measure the spall. I should have done that. 108 grains. Almost 2 inches by 1 1/8 inches. I don't know, 5/16 thick. Maybe 3/8. Okay, so there you go.